What is up, friends? There should be opening credits here, so why don't we take a second here and put those on? I love my opening credits. I'm not going to do this without the opening credits. That doesn't make any sense. Scenes got moved. Opening credit. What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, ESPARZA, coming to you with another great installment of The Bullpen, a joint venture between Inside BJJ and The Grappling Hour. I hope you're having a great day. We are here to preview Season 8, Week 3 of action for the PGF, and it's an important week, guys. Not going to get around it. Not going to try and tell you something isn't important. Week 3 is very much a make or break week. We will get more into depth about that in a second. But first, why don't we say hi to my good friend, Tim Freeman. Tim, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, Raph. I gotta tell you, you're absolutely right. Week 3 is the banger week. It's just like day 3. When it comes to the third time in the PGF, it's when we find out who's going to make a run and who's going to take a back seat. So lots of exciting stuff to talk about. It's great to be back, Raph. Let's go. I'm ready. You know I'm emotional. I'm ready, man. I can't wait.
You were definitely singing Whitney Houston, So Emotional, a major hit for her in the late 80s. So let's get straight to that. You can't sing that on here because I think we'll get knocked off. And or it might be so rough that they're like, you can have that one.
I would never disrespect Whitney or Bobby in that manner.
That's right. The original king of R&B, Bobby Brown. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Don't get it twisted. Two of the best GOATs of all time. Let's get straight to the news here. We're going to go over what happened last week. So last week we put a challenge to Tim, and this is why I'm going to redo the clock here. Tim, your task, should you choose to complete it, is you will have 1 minute's worth of time to tell us what happened last week. Do you think you will be able to tell us all the action that happened last week in 1 minute's time?
I think I can. Yeah, I'm going to vote on myself. You know, give or take a few seconds. We'll see. If the spirit comes on me and I get anointed, I could go long, but I'm going to try to stay.
That's fine, but the buzzer will go off and I will mute you. So really, this is an exercise in let's see how much you can get done. Your one begins right now.
Well, listen, PGF Week 2 shows us who the battle is for the top. We're going to talk about the top individual point scorers. One team has broken away from the pack just a bit, and the other has kind of fallen apart a little bit. We're seeing a bigger range, and then there's a couple breakout guys. So listen, right up at the top, Chris Papadelos, Landon Elmore. These guys are raking in the points. Papadelos is still up there with 20. Elmore had 18. Molina's got 16. These guys, it's not a surprise. Chris Olivia's coming right up the bottom with 15. So Dominic Lobo went for $1,000. He's at the top of the board. These guys are doing fantastic. When we talk about the teams, Team Dolomer has kind of pulled out a little bit, and they had 2 subs that came in Rayfield and Ortiz. They got 42 points. The New Hope Kings are in there at 35. The Twisters are looking good. The Tropic Thunders are falling back just a little bit. And the breakout star, just give me a second to give this guy some props. Landon Elmore looked fantastic in Week 2 with 3 subs. Great job. This kid is making a name for himself. So big things coming for Week 3. I'm excited, Raph. I apologize for going slightly over.
It's fine, and I would tell you this. A lot of action. I don't know how you keep calling him Chris Papadelos, but he is one of the few people.
He's going to kill me.
No, he won't kill you. he'll just go on for 10 minutes why you did that. So he'll cut a promo on you that will never end. Having said that, some really interesting things happened in week 2. We saw some emergers. We also saw the best match of the season so far. Hoffa and Nick Saff, by far. I think they definitely have done the best job for a matchup. Like, it was good back and forth. I think you're going to see a lot of great action to come from that. Additionally, Christos and Landon at the top of the charts, not a surprise. But as we get into some of our news here, it's going to be interesting to see if that will have any implications on their ability to maintain that spot. Because if you ask them, they're running this stuff like Shaq and Kobe. They're out there. They're tag teaming this right now. And to me, I feel like it's hard to say that they don't have that momentum. So they are looking very, very good. And a good day to you, Egg. Good to see you as well. Happy to see our friend, the Stack himself, Isaac, right in there. Appreciate you guys. So one thing I kind of wanted to note while you're giving props to Landon, I want to give him props too. But I do want to say, when he was in a post interview with me on the post show, I asked him about braking mechanics and why he said that was the nastiest brake he's ever had in his life. He described it. I threw up in my mouth a little. But when I went to go look at the replay of him, before he realized the severity of the injury, he kind of went to this other place. I encourage you to go watch that match on PGF World if you haven't seen it yet, after this show, clearly. But my man was starting to turn into Randy Orton. He was hearing voices in his head because before he looked down and saw his opponent was injured, he was like moving his head like this, and you could see the transformation. And then the way he described it to me to say like, oh, yeah, I've never felt anything like that before. Literal Joker, Batman villain stuff here. So I think that's a guy I don't want to go up against if I am on the PGF right now. And the weird part is we've talked about him being undersized, and that has not proven to be an issue thus far in, Tim. So he is proving very, very adept in a weight class that you almost get the impression, what would a Landon Elmore look like at 135?
Yeah, because he's not huge for that weight class. He's really not. And there always seems to be a guy that comes in whose game is just zigging and zagging enough that no one's catching up with him. Now, given the extended season, I kind of wonder if they're going to go home and in this 6-7 days off, they're going to study tape on him and come back and try to figure him out. That's one advantage they will have defensively. But, man, he looked fantastic. And he's feeling it, too, which is awesome.
Yeah, you could see him getting more confidence as it was going. And that break he had on Saff in his last match, going 3 for 3 last week, you saw him starting to feel that momentum. And Christos is right there with him. Christos is just in a place where if you're looking at it from the outside, you're seeing him understand the little note we gave him, which was, hey, bud, you got to get over with the audience to get the money bags. And you're seeing the, like, Cody Rhodes-esque, oh, shucks. I mean, I've had some really hard opponents and much respect to him today. But I am that dude. And that's fine. That it'd be that way. But you're seeing him put over people as opposed to, where's my money bag? Why? Like, bro, you're not going to get it that way. But going over like this, now we're into your story. Now we're seeing you emerge as somebody we want to throw the money bag for. So what I would say is this. I would not be surprised if you see Christos get another money bag in the very near future. I can't even say it's this week. We'll get to that when we go through the matches here in just a second. But for right now, big props to him. I also want to point this out before we move on to the news, which is, I don't know if you guys are watching, but Mondays, there are new installments of the Grapplers. They're doing this in real time, people. They are legitimately putting up these episodes 5 or 6 days after competition. And I don't know if you know how spent our entire staff is come Thursdays. So props to Keelan, Isaac, Plaster, all the people who are contributing to that documentary. But there was an interesting thing that happened that this week they were really high on promoting the big feud between Chris and Gojani. And with Chris Olivo and Anthony Gojani, there's been a lot of Anthony like kind of nudging at him, chomping at the bit, especially in the chat section. But there's a weird thing that happened. Chris won that match dominantly and went on a very, very profane tirade. And it's hard to say that you can't be justified in having that sort of energy. But it went by the wayside. Like, you can't just say, oh, I apologize for my rant here in profanity latentness and then do it. Like, no, that's not how that works. TV would mute you, and there's nothing worse than trying to have a message and then getting muted. That's not the real issue here, because we cleaned it up a little bit, but you could see the unedited version on our sites, and you see it over on the documentary, and it's even a shortened version of what Chris was saying. Having said that, a rare thing happened after that match. Gojani kind of knew it. He lost really quick. Was a pretty good sport about it. But since we're continuing down the pro wrestling world, a unique thing happened. I argue there might have been a double turn there. What is a double turn? Famously, the double turn is a Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart moment where Bret Hart comes in as the good guy, leaves as the bad guy. In this particular case, we all saw Chris was so dominant, like the performance spoke for itself. You get a few seconds on the microphone, say your piece, you won. That seemed to be so over the top that then sympathy happened for Gojani, because Gojani's also the one that went backstage, went to shake his hand and was like, hey, thanks for respecting the tap. And Gojani went babyface. And it was incredible. So when I tell you the power of these behind the scenes moments, you cannot miss them. They are that impactful. And what I'm saying is, you may not in the moment when you're a character on the show, an athlete, even know that's what's happening because you're just so in the moment. But like, if you watch that back, I argue that even the people who were rooting against Gojani saw him get his comeuppance and then kind of felt bad for him because he's just like, I mean, hey, dude, I'm just talking shit. I'm just having fun. And Chris is going on, and then he accepts his apology. He says, I take that at your word. There you go. But it is a unique thing that only happens every once in a while, the double turn. So,
yeah, that's a good call. That's a real good call, because I saw Chris kind of lose it there after he got the tap on Gojani. And, you know, this is a good thing for Gojani now, because now he can kind of play both sides just a little bit, as long as Chris is the bad guy, right? Chris can never turn good because then Gojani doesn't have like a foil.
Well, they wrote it's the final part. They squashed the beef. So now the challenge for the two of them is, what is your character now that that storyline is done? Like, now that doesn't define you anymore. And for Chris, he's had great success. So now he can just shed that aside and be him and not have to worry about that dragging him down. Statement made. For Gojani, it's got to be like, well, I don't think he's going to be done antagonizing people.
No, he's
just maybe not Chris anymore. So there's that. And listen, you said I just went all Nancy Kerrigan when talking about Christos. No. Let's be very clear. Big fan of Christos. Drafted him on my team. Having said that, my man came up to me and was trying to tell me thank you for the views on his post when we were like, hey, man, you got to get out there and get the money back, but you got to get over with the crowd. And he's like, hey, Raph, did you see those numbers? You're welcome. And I was like, no. You're welcome. Reverse Uno that. That's not how that works. We brought you on the show, and then all of a sudden you got money bags. I'm just saying. Facts are facts, people. And it says it's behind the scenes, not grapplers. We're doing a feature film at the end that will be the grapplers. Okay, semantics. You can see footage that looks like a documentary, but is not the full documentary. It's a behind the scenes, but same thing. Exact same point. You're seeing a behind the scenes nature of it with testimonials that will be a little bit longer, I think, for the main film. So there you go, kids. Let's move on to our next thing, which is, oh no, hold on. I think Egg wanted an act out here, which is why? Yeah. Egg, that's such an old reference, but it does make me giddy because it is a part of sports history and the children should know. So go look that up. Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding, look up why, and you'll laugh pretty profusely. Moving on to our next one, we do have some news and updates. We broke the news earlier this week. Yes, that Sergio Ardila is going to make his way into the PGF this week, as is Dom Mejia. So that's pretty good.
Wow.
We can now confidently announce it does look like Mike John is going to be out of competition this week. That is breaking news. So he will extend to the 10 days of the IR policy. What does that mean? He's still on his team. So this week, it does appear that his replacement, the person who's coming in for him, it's very tricky to use some of these words, but the person who is playing for him currently is going to be Spencer. So Spencer is going to continue playing in the Mike John spot, and they will have until the end of the week to figure out what happens next. So, Tim, with this information, what do you think this does to both the team dynamics and the actual playoff dynamics, especially for some of these high point players?
You know, it's interesting what's going down right now with the subs, and I think what we're gonna see is it's not that, but it's kind of like an informal trade deadline a little bit, because I think, and I don't have any proof for this, but once you get kind of into week 4, there's a little less incentive to jump into the game as an athlete, because you're probably not going to get enough points to get into the individual tournament playoff. If you're brought onto a good team, you might do it. That there might be some incentive there, but if it's a poor team or one that's not doing well, you may not want to do it. So we're kind of seeing a flurry of activity that's happening right now. Having said that, Rayfield and Ortiz made immediate contributions to their team on week 2. And Varela is the coach now, has got a bunch of dudes from his own home squad, which he's probably really comfortable with. So I think that doesn't necessarily shake up the leaderboard yet, right? Because these guys just came in and they're kind of earning points. But it definitely kind of shakes up the team standings, right? It definitely kind of strengthens some teams in there. Do we know what team Paul Ardila is going to? I think it's the Twisters. Is that right? Is that have you read that? I thought it was the Twisters, which is
Tim, that is correct. And that is also where Dom Mejia is going to end up as well. So that has changed, I think, the complexion of that team. Them both 100%. Going to that team, huge.
That's giant.
What's interesting is that for Armin Bruni going to the injured reserve, that was a person who had a spot on the season, got injured, and then the team elected to waive him. Now, this brings up a lot of really good questions, but when we say that week 3 is a make or break week, these new additions, if you've ever seen Sergio go to work or Dom, you know they could be on that points board really quick, and they could make a very big impression with their team that even if they don't get to stay on there, I think you'd be hard-pressed as a manager or a team captain / coach to not be looking out for the best interest of your team. So right now, yes, Sergio Ardila is going to the Twisters, and I think that is pretty
huge.
meaningful here. So if you think about it too, the Twisters, Tim, where do they currently stand on the charts?
Well, they're in third place right now. I think they have like 27 points. They're 8 points beneath the New Hope Kings, and Dolomer's in there at 42. But look, if they pick up Mejia and the name dropped, Ardilla, that's going to leave them with Ferreira, Ardilla, Mejia on the same team. Olivo, like that's the team to beat now. Like that's yikes. That's
so
a great
now
team.
we're looking at that super team that's come as a result of it, and that's why last week on Friday you could see me have a very visceral reaction when we announced the news, because I said, wow, they both got snagged by that team. It changes things. So big note to have everybody keep eyes on the Alabama Twisters this week. If there's one person happy about this news, it's definitely Canuto as he's processing it, because he's thinking, what a great windfall. And props to that team. The Alabama Twisters didn't waste any seconds. So you don't know if that's a Matt Elkins thing or the configuration of the 9 different people behind it from Alabama, but huge potential with that. So very, very pleased to see them pick that up. We're now going to move on to the actual matches themselves. So when we do this, we're very happy to have you guys check out the action. We go to another screen right now so that you can see all the matches that are set for week 3 action. So let us go now to a different scene that will show you guys exactly what we have in store. Not the last one. Why don't we start right up top? And the reason we start right up top here is this. The action for week 3 starts with Spencer Ortiz and Jet Thompson. So if I am correct, I believe Spencer is in for Mike John, and Mike John dodges another bullet here and not having to go against Jet Thompson. Having said that, Spencer last week got some respect on the name. He was going out there. He definitely was trying to make a statement early on. Jet Thompson is going to be looking for points. Be afraid of that man, but we have more on that in a second. Christos Papadopoulos and Anthony Molina Valdez are going to be my match to watch in this group of 5. That's not to say that Landon Elmore and Anthony Gojani won't be fun. Derek Rayfield and Juan Martinez also evenly matched here. And Brady Branstrom and Dom Lobo close out this first group of 5. But I would say put your interest on that match number 2 for week 3 for this reason. Those are both people who want to get back at each other, but they're also battling for who's going to be at the top of our individual player stats. Christos doesn't want to get that up. And last week, Anthony Molina Valdez did get caught by Landon. So while he can't get Landon back right this second, a big statement would be made if he were to submit Christos. But that is a huge ask. So that is my match to watch. Do you have any different match to watch for this first group of 5, Tim?
Yeah, I do definitely. I'm going with the leadoff match in this first group of 5 because Ortiz is coming in. He's competing under his coach with his teammates. We saw him get off to a pretty good start in week 2. He definitely doesn't want to be a weak link. He definitely wants to perform. On the other side, we got Jet Thompson on the New Hope Kings, who are in second place, who are doing great despite Jet only scoring 3 points. If Egg would have ran the numbers at the beginning of the season of what is the probability going into week 3 Jet will have 3 points, his brain would have melted down. He wouldn't have even been able to do it. He would have had to get a new computer to do it. It would have melted his laptop out. But here we are. Jet's got 3 points, and I think he's really going to get dangerous, and he's going to get risky, and that's the Jet Thompson that came into PGF Season 6 and almost walked away with the belt. So I think Jet's going to come out pretty exciting on match 1. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that match. That's my rec.
All right, we're going to move on to our second set of matches here. I want to make sure that we're very clear on this. We did say there's further implications for Jet Thompson, so keep that in the back of your mind. But next, moving on to the second set, 6 through 10. Matt Mash, Zach Schneider, Chris Olivo, JJ Bowers, Hoffa versus John Chandler, Sergio Ardila versus Dick Saff, and Dom Mejia versus CJ Murdoch. A couple notable things here, but I think for the perhaps not getting the respect they deserve match off, Matt Mash and Zach Schneider. Both of them have had solid performances all the way throughout, but they still haven't peaked yet. And if you're looking at somebody like a Matt Mash, last week got submitted and had a moment, you see it in the behind the scenes stuff, where he wasn't necessarily knocked off his game, but just kind of like, okay. When you start saying okay to yourself like that, you're really trying to think, didn't like getting submitted. When do I get to go back out there? And that is what we're going to see on that match, is his ability to do that. And Zach Schneider, man, that's a dude who can always produce great matches, and here has been doing really good stuff. I feel like these are two underappreciated performers. So it's wild to even say that sentence out loud, but I don't feel they've gotten the recognition that they've deserved. So that is my match to watch. Tim, what is your match to watch for this block?
I have Ardila versus Saff. I think, Ardila's going to come out. He's going to want to put points on the board. It's a big name. And Nick Saff, look, friend of the show, he's usually in the comment section. Now that he's got the call up, he's focused. He's on it, right? He's not happy walking away with 0 points last week, so I think he's gonna be after him, man. He had a great match in week 2, but he wants to win. He wants to show out, so I'm looking forward to seeing that matchup.
Copy that. We're gonna move on to our next series of 5 matches. Coming up shortly after that is going to be, every one of these matches is kind of good enough to be a showcase somewhere else. Picking one here is going to be difficult. Allow me to very quickly breeze through them. Jet Thompson, Sergio Ardila, Anthony Molina Valdez versus Dom Mejia, Anthony Gojani versus Matt Mash, Juan Martinez versus Chris Olivo, and Dom Lobo versus Hoffa Ferreira. Yikes. Okay. If I got to pick one of these, I'm picking Jet Thompson and Sergio Ardila. Here's why. Sergio actually has a win over Jet Thompson. Now, here's the interesting thing. Jet has been pretty dominant in his matches. And even though he hasn't gotten the points he's wanted, you could always argue he's making a statement of being the better grappler, just not with the gratification of the points. Sergio, in beating him by points at an ADCC format style, granted, in the past, is at least a big enough of a question mark where normally that spot would be filled by the athlete or maybe an injured reserved individual that would be easier than the person on the staff. This is not. Sergio is a game competitor, and if Jet is on a rush, maybe he can beat Sergio. Having said that, Sergio's crafty. That's not the person you were hoping for a bad bounce where you thought you would get those points. Like, if you thought, I'll just wait until I get rotated for this person to be the person I go up against, Jet's not getting that here. So, not only will that match tell you a lot about Jet, but if Sergio makes a statement here and starts to break some of that Jet Thompson hopeful momentum to come back, Sergio could emerge as a very big player very quickly. So that's my match to watch. How about yours?
I'm going with Anthony Molina Valdez and Dominic Mejia. I think that's going to be an exciting matchup. Molina's right near the top of the leaderboard. He's got 16 points. He's trying to stay in the hunt. You're not really safe in week 2. You could be at the top of the board and then be mid or even at the bottom by week 5. So he's still got to keep the gas going. And Mejia's coming in. He's got a few weeks ahead of him if he's able to stay on the roster to garner points and make a bid for a playoff spot. So I think both those guys are going to come out pretty strong. Although I am looking at Gojani versus Matt Mash and I'm going to pay attention to the messages, because if Gojani starts needling Mash, we might see the birth of like a new rivalry. So I'm kind of interested in seeing how that plays. I want to see if Gojani can rep another one.
Gojani likes the babyface role. Maybe he understands that he went from this massive trash talker to the guy who got humbled and now has to come back and find a new angle. So he might be the new reborn 1, 2, 3 kid who's got to come in and pay his dues again. I don't know, man. I'm intrigued to see how he kind of reinvents himself here, or if he doesn't, if he just goes back to being like, nah, man, I the thing with Chris is done, but these other crazy cats aren't Albanian like me, but I've totally got Mad Mash. Look at that haircut. Insert haircut photo, like all that quarter bits. But I don't know. I want to see. Gojani, my note to you is, let's see what you're like as a babyface. Let's see if we can get you over. Because at the very least, we can get you some money bags, maybe, if you're going over and you got a real bomb match. So maybe that is the move. We're moving now to our fourth set of 5. Spencer Ortiz, John Chandler, Christos versus Nick Saff, Landon Elmore, CJ Murdoch, Derek Rayfield, Zach Schneider, and Brady Branscombe versus JJ Bowers. Some real fun things to watch here as well. This is tough for me because I feel after watching the potential for Nick Saff that him and Hoffa was really fun, and you'd like to think him and Christos has that potential as well. I'm actually going to bang on Landon Elmore and CJ Murdoch here. I think that's going to be my match to watch because Landon's been on a tear, and CJ is not an easy win. But I think they have some... Let's see who's a better leg locker. I think they have some. Let's see who's a better jiu-jitsu practitioner. So that is my match to watch in this block. Tim?
I'm going to go with Christos Papadelos and Nick Saff. I think that Nick is going to be... I'm just really interested in what he's going to do tomorrow. I think he's going to come out strong. And I could see Papadelos kind of playing you a little bit, like trying to like not fight you directly, just go enough until he can find his opening. And I don't think Nick's going to let him do that. I think Nick's going to push the pace, and we're going to see a really great version of both these athletes. So, and man, Papadelos is looking really good. I'm really enjoying watching his matches.
And you get a sense just from the way he's carrying himself that he very much is acting like the person who would be points leader.
Yeah,
so
he is.
He's called for a shot. He's gotten it. He's carrying himself in the way that I think you kind of need to carry yourself when you have that burden of being it. And you welcome it, but you also say like, hey, I'm ready for great matches. So that little baby face version of him saying like, oh man, I love this guy. I give him all the props in the world. I do think he means it, but it's the kind of way you can talk about other people when you're getting points on the board.
Yeah, right. Sure.
Like you can't be losing and being like, man, I got a real big respect for that dude. Man, who knew? Yeah, he did submit me 9 times, but man, big ups to him. That's a big mark for him. Like that doesn't quite work that way. Let's go to our next block here, Tim. This is going to be 21 through 25. For this, Landon Elmore, Sergio Ardilla, Derek Rayfield, Dom Mejia. Great match as well. Brady Branscombe, Matt Mash, Spencer Ortiz, Chris Olivo, and Christos versus Hoffa. I'm going to make a deal with you, Tim, because I feel there are 2 that kind of stand out to both of us here. Mm-hmm. I'll pick one, you pick the other.
Okay.
But I just said Christos is the guy, but I want to see if Landon is the guy against Sergio Ardilla. We've been kind of putting those as some matches to watch, and Sergio by no means has an easy day. Like, he is coming straight into the fire. But if you think about it, if those were supposed to be just any scrub off the streets, those would have been points on the board for those big players. They are not. These are potential blocks for points. So I'm going to put that as my match to watch. What is going to be your match, sir?
I'm going back with Papadelos and Hoffa. The interesting thing about Hoffa is he's having some exciting matches, but he's only got 8 points. Mm-hmm. It seems like he should have like 20 points, right? If you're watching the highlights and you're just watching him, but he's got 8 points. Like he's still not quite solidified. So he's gonna have to go out there and put some numbers up. And I kind of want to see the contrast between Papadelos and Hoffa's match and Papadelos and Nick Saf's match, because we've seen Saf and we've seen Hoffa. So I want to see these other two guys get after it. I think it'll make for some interesting grappling analysis to do on week 3.
Here's a big potential. The last match of the night, if Christos gets his way, could leave Hoffa with his first submission loss if he gets submitted. Yeah. And then I think we really see how Hoffa takes it, because if he doesn't get points on the board by the end of that night, he does potentially, not saying he would, but if he did get submitted, that's going to be the true test, because he's had some of these draws, maybe doesn't get the points that he wants, looks dominant, is clearly a star for us. But that is that mental toughness, especially when the pressure comes on, where you're just on the brink of playoffs. So I think that is a very good way to end that block. The momentum is definitely going Christos' way, but it's a Hoffa match. So there's no way to know what any of that means. And I do see a note here from Nick that says, I'm excited for the Christos match. We've trained together a good bit. Also looking forward to Hoffa and Christos. Thank you for that, Nick. We move on now to our next comment, which is going to be that of the 16 through 30 matches. CJ Murdoch versus Dom Lobo. Nick Saf versus Juan Martinez. John Chandler versus Anthony Gojani. And Joseph Bowers, versus Anthony Melita Valdez and Zach Schneider versus Jet Thompson. Well, if we're going to talk about the end of the night, let's talk about the last match. Zach Schneider, Jet Thompson. Both of them kind of chomping at the bit. They both want bigger numbers, clearly. Zach Schneider, I've gone up to him a couple times, and at the very end of last week, Mika was telling him, like, hey, man, stay the course. You're doing just fine. And Zach just kind of had this look like, it didn't happen today. And I go, but you didn't lose points. And that's a big factor to put in here. So you got two workhorses in Jet Thompson and Zach Schneider. And I think that's the one to watch. I think those are two guys who are busting their ass. So, Tim, who is your match to watch on this one?
I'm going John Chandler, Anthony Gojani, because I think these guys are going to match up well stylistically with each other. Size-wise, they're similar. Gojani might be a little bit taller than Chandler. And Chandler's good, man. And he's not putting very many points up. Gojani's got 5. So this is a little bit of a battle for some respect right here. Like, I got to put you got to win all the matches that you can win, right? And then you got to win a third of the ones that you're not supposed to win if you're going to even have a chance to get near the top of the board. So both these guys need to put points up, and I think they're going to get after it with each other. I think it's going to be an exciting matchup.
Well, keep in mind, we're going to get to a segment called Warning here in a second. But for this particular case, I think if I'm John Chandler, I'm working unconventional guard escapes, and I am working leg lock defense, because that has been a big thing that I think people have targeted on John Chandler. And I think at this point, Gojani's just looking for points. I don't even know that he's going to look for the kills. And the best thing you can do in those moments is to get that respect back on the board, be looking for those points. But the weird part about it is John Chandler is so scrappy that for him, this is a workhorse match as well. Like, this is a one where he has upside. They both have very different skills. And yeah, I would agree. That is definitely one to watch. So those are the different sets. Just some notes here. The entire Twisters versus Dolomir block is must-see TV. Very much agree to that. Let's move back to the actual board, and let's get back through nailing through some of these topics. But Tim, some very interesting developments for tomorrow's game. So let's go ahead and now advance this slightly, and let's get into some odds here. Now, Tim, got time on the board, but I would love for you to kind of walk us through some of the betting lines for tomorrow, or I'm sorry, betting lines for week 3.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit. Now, these lines could change, but these are the preliminary numbers that we're looking at. And I'm just going to go over a couple spots where you might have a chance here to get the grappling gods on your side. Match 11, Jet Thompson versus Sergio Ardila. Jet is a -250 and Ardila is a +200. I would take Ardila at +200. That is a nice little return. I think, Ardila for sure can get a sub and a win against Thompson. Nothing against Thompson. I'm just saying with those numbers, that would be a bet I would take. Looking down a little further on the line, Gojani versus Matt Mash. Gojani's a -140 and Matt Mash is a +120. I don't know that's a mistake, but the way things have kind of played out so far, I'm taking Matt Mash all day long with that at +120. Let's slide down a little further because there's a little more opportunity with Landon Elmore versus Sergio Ardila. One of the things I'm noticing is when guys jump in and they don't have a history yet for the season, the odds are slightly in their favor in terms of making a bet. Sergio Ardila is a +170. Landon Elmore is a -200. I would take Sergio Ardila at +170 against Landon Elmore. That's not a bad bet. So those are kind of the few that kind of pop out. You could check out the lines if you check out Bet Online. Look for PGF Season 8 Week 3. They'll have all the betting lines up there, and you can place a bet, make a little coin, especially if you know about jiu-jitsu. Something you're good at, something you're actually an expert at. You suck at betting MMA because you're not an expert at it. But jiu-jitsu, you might be an expert.
It says, is the fantasy picks open here, Tim?
I don't know if you can jump in at this point and create a fantasy team.
Hold on. I think I know this one. So I was told by Egg, so if this is wrong, it's on Egg, that you can go to fantasy for PGF on the website, so PGF World, and go to fantasy, PGF World, whatever. You go there, and it's week to week. So you can still get in on fantasy at the website. Okay. So keep that in mind. You might be a little bit behind, but like some of these IR folks coming off the waiver wire, you could make a big splash in a short amount of time. So, yes, I love that. Just fire. Thank you. And I can't tell what that... Oh, it's a upside down this. Okay, cool. Thank you. I would tell you this. Here are the betting lines. I'll just quickly go down what I got from our good friends over at ChatGPT. These are the top 5 betting lines, okay? So these are the betting favorites right now are going to be Landon Elmore against Anthony Gojani, coming in at a -250 favorite. Then you've got Jet Thompson at -250 against Sergio Ardila. I would advise you not to take that. You got Chris Olivo as a betting favorite at -230 against his match with Juan Martinez. And then again, Chris Olivo, a huge favorite against Spencer Ortiz. And then a little bit later, you're going to see that Christos is the betting favorite against Nick Saff. And you're going to also see, I believe it's Landon Elmore coming in as a betting favorite. So they're both at -200 on those. And then the underdogs, you got Juan Martinez versus Chris Olivo You've got Spencer Ortiz versus Chris Olivo, Spencer Ortiz versus Jet Thompson. And then even seeing this, Matt Mash is a betting underdog against Zach Schneider. A little bit later, you've got J.J. Bowers in his match against Dom Lobo. And you've also got, I think this is, J.J. Bowers in his match against Anthony Melita Valdez, and Dom Lobo in his match against Hoffa are the underdogs. Then a little bit later, Derek Rayfield and Nick Saff as the betting underdogs in their matches against Dom Mejia and Juan Martinez, respectively. So it's a tricky business, but it is one we wanted to give you that. And just so you know, these betting lines can fluctuate. So even though this is what we're reporting now, by the time you make it to the website, it might change. Let's move on to our updates for fantasy. Tim, what can you tell us about the fantasy updates on the PGF World website?
Well, I'll give you the athlete update, and then we'll talk about the overall teams. There's about, a couple hundred fantasy teams going at it right now. Looking at fantasy points, these are not PGF points. These are fantasy points. It's scored slightly different. We have Dominic Lobo at the top of the leaderboard. He's got 20 points, but he's also sharing that spot with the actual PGF Season 8 individual point leader, Christos Papadelos. So they're both in at 20. Chris Olivo's at 18. Matt Mash is at 17. It's pretty much the same characters. The order might be off a little bit, but pretty much what you see outside of Jet Thompson, who's got 12 fantasy points. He's up, near the top 8. It's pretty much the same when it comes to the individual fantasy points for the PGF. When we're looking at squads, Casey's squad, I don't know if this is Coach Casey out of 10P Vegas or not. He's sitting at the top with 105 points, looking pretty good there. And I just want to scroll down real quick and check out the Inside BJJ. My team name is the Las Vegas Players. I felt like that was very clever. I am, I'm not doing great, but I'm in 26th place. That's not too bad out of a couple hundred. I was trying to find Egghead Warrior or Egg. I looked for Omelet. I didn't see it. I looked up Sunnyside. Couldn't find it. Looked up Poached. Nowhere to be found on this board. I don't know if he has changed his name and gone into hiding, if he's dropped off the board, if he's playing on another board now. But as far as I could tell, I may have run Egg out of the Season 8 PGF Fantasy competition. And I'm proud of that. I'm very proud of that. For now, until it can be proven otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and say that I actually have ran Egg completely out of PGF Fantasy. So that's what's going on, man.
Congratulations on your win.
Yeah, thank you.
Not that surprising, but damn, it's got to be a huge blow to the Egghead Industries unless he changed his name, which is possible. But yeah. We get it, man. You're in hiding now. You're going into the FBI Witness Protection Agency because your picks have been so not good. Having said that, Tim, we now get into some updates for our fantasy teams amongst ourselves.
Yes.
And I just want to give a very quick update here because, listen, this doesn't matter to people. I know that. And I don't want to belabor the point and make you guys sit here for 12 minutes and hear me go on and on and on, because if I did do that, it would really be just enjoying the fact that, yes, I am currently still your points leader. And I guess that's not a surprise. Now, the real interesting thing that I note here is that Egg has already started putting on the alternates onto here, which I don't know what we've done in the past for, but Egg is trying to get any points he can. Because I think he realized, I was good at picking people who didn't make it all the way here. But I currently lead at 52. Egg is behind me at 43, which is, here's the thing. He put on the points for the injured reserve people, which, how do we feel about that, people?
You can't do that. We don't do that. We've never done. That's unprecedented.
But see, Egg
Wow.
is doing the points this year so that he has like edgewise in here. Because if you take away those points, he doesn't have much. And in fact,
treacherous move.
I think I've done that math so that we don't spend too much time on that. Let's just see what Egg would have 32 points. So he would be behind you, Tim. So this is more another way of you getting inside of his head.
Ref, bring the comment in, please. It's hot and ready. It is just fire it, man.
This is so stupid. For Egghead's heel turn, he uses Eggs Benedict. Yes, yes. Get that off my screen.
This guy has turned bad. We have found the bad egg.
We have found the bad egg.
It's fantasy.
It's just remarkable to be like, well, I think Derek's now on my squad and Spencer Ortiz got a kill or something. Yeah, I'll take these points. Or I got a break. Yeah, good enough. So anyway, I'm just saying, even with my replacements, you know, I get it. But I still got players on the board, so let's see how this goes. Nonetheless, it's something that we'll have to discuss, but congratulations to everybody beating Egghead. Very, very proud of you. And Tim, without the additions, you would be beating him. Because isn't this the language that him and Kevin use as like qualifiers to like try to win?
Oh,
they don't win outright. It's
yeah.
always like, actually, an asterisk, if you don't count the solar moon of 1993, I would win. Like, no, dude, just try to win. It's much, much easier that way. Let's go now to our warning. Okay, Tim, we've discussed these things a little bit. I think it's pretty important that we really break the news to the kids. Week 3. It has felt a little bit like a fantasy camp for a lot of these guys. And while they're competitive and always finding the bright sides of this competition series, I hope it's not lost upon them that week 3 is normally the day for the week-long competition format where people started kind of breaking, if not physically, sometimes mentally. So, Tim, what is the advice that you would like to give to these kids going into week 3?
Week 3 is gonna be the toughest week of the competition. The stage is already setting up for that. The teams have we've seen 3 teams at the top of the league just fortify themselves, especially the Twisters. Everyone is coming into week 3 to bang. This is it. This is when everyone comes to bat. This is open mat. This is when you send out the open mat to everybody, and then like dudes you haven't seen in 2 years come out of the woods to come to open mat. This is what it's going to be like for week 3. So you can't lose your focus. You can't look past it. You might see guys ahead of you. You think, oh, I got that guy. I got that guy. You got it all planned out. You don't know what's going to happen. So you need to show up with your game face ready to go, mentally and physically strong. It's going to be the toughest day of the season. Better come prepared.
Thank you for that, Tim. Allow me a second here. Okay, guys. I understand. We've been pretty happy during this experience. Whatever game face you need to find, whatever music that helps you get into being where you need to be, whether it's mellow, intense. There's a moment in the behind the scenes that Robert Drysdale was saying, I'd rather you get submitted than come back with a draw. And what he means by that, in my interpretation, is he needs you going out there and trying to make something happen. Now, granted, is it the best point strategy? No. But in his mentality, it's the search of trying to get those points is probably going to bring out the best of you as a competitor rather than playing it safe. And some of you guys, it's not for lack of trying, but we're now at a place where we're going to be looking at those people who are pretty much locking in their playoff spots. Anything can happen. 3 kills can always change the game. That is why we are addicted to this thing. Having said that, when you go into it this week, leave your place on those mats. Like, make your statement, bring the best jiu-jitsu that you've got. If you're even questioning, can I beat this guy? That's not the place you need to be. The real place you need to be is, how do I find the way to beat this guy? And go match by match. Because if you look forward and you think, oh, I wanted 3 submissions today, I didn't get it, you're already losing. You need to get in a place where you take your small wins and you build and build and build with those small wins. And when you have that, then I think you may find yourself in the playoffs. You may find yourself on the winning team. But whatever that win is for you, start to define it and take your small goals and make that mountain of big goals. And we're rooting for you guys, but statistically, only 1 team wins and only 8 people make the playoffs, and then 1 person wins. So we'd love for everybody to get their opportunities. I think we are of the mindset, we root for you all, we give you your shot, and then we just let you guys do the work. So we look forward to it, but go out there, make your statement today. Because now you can also see that they start bringing in injured reserves, and those injured reserves can potentially take your spots. So go out there, make your statement, and, even if you don't win, don't be surprised if you make such a strong impression that you get invited back for other seasons. And that's kind of cool too. So that's my advice. Also, show up for your media obligations. That's the other one. If you don't show up for the media obligations, you're not doing the professional part. That's not everybody, but it's just letting you know. Use us as an extra storytelling device to get people over, to make it so that they want to be invested in you. That's what I do. That's what The Dream does. That's what Alex does. We're all working to get you over. So consider us more partners on this. That's all. All right. Let us move on to the chat. Last week we played a game. We're going to do it again this week, Tim. I'm going to read you some statements in the group chat for the very lively group chat. And it is going to be up to you to pick who said what. Are you ready to play this game?
I'm ready. Let's go. Last week I was nervous. This week I'm much more calm and relaxed. I've practiced. I've thought about it. I'm ready.
All right. Let us see here in the group chat. The first one is... This is pretty good. I did like this one a lot because I saw this and I think it tells you what the temperament of when people could weigh in was. So what's this about Dom getting to weigh in 2 days early?
Who said it?
Yeah, who said that?
Dom Mejia?
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming not Lobo. Okay, Dom Mejia. Dom Mejia. I'm gonna say that Anthony Gojani.
Anthony Gojani is your answer. Okay. Locking that in. Tim, your answer is incorrect. It is actually JJ Bowers. So JJ Bowers was asking why Dominic Mejia got to actually weigh in a little bit earlier. It wasn't quite the same format that they had, but it's mostly to make sure we can get them all inserted in a proper time. So there were some discussions about that, but nonetheless, everybody resolved pretty nicely about it. It's a pretty amicable chat. So now here's another one, okay? Okay. You wish you could go to Brazil, but you know they wouldn't let you back in.
You wish you could go to Brazil, but you know they wouldn't let you back in. Okay. And you want me to guess who said it?
Yes.
Do I get to know who it was said to? Or is that also Anon.
It is to Hoffa.
Hoffa. Okay. I'm gonna go with.
Okay, you took too long.
Landon Elmore.
No, that was Anthony Gojani to Hoffa Freya.
Are you okay? All right. See, I rode with Gojani on the first one, and he burned me.
No, just kidding. Actually, that was a reverse. That was Hoffa to Anthony. I screwed that one up, but that's mostly because you took too long. So we're gonna move now.
All right, I gotta go fast. I'll go faster this time.
Thank you. That will help this. And it says half off on first-time consultations.
Half off on first-time consultations. That first I thought Chris Olivo, but I don't think he gives discounts. So I think that he doesn't give discounts. So I'm gonna go with CJ Murdoch.
That was Sergio Ardella Law. Just how it writes in there. But I love that. It's good Johnny about Faye. I like that the egg is playing. And egg had a response to you, and I don't know that you saw this, but it said, I've had the same fantasy team name since PGF season 1. Hashtag blue belts are people too. So what number are you on the fantasy world link? Like, just tell us what it is and we can get past, is egg here?
Oh,
Nonetheless,
109.
All right.
109.
He's 109?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm 26, so.
No, but Tim, that means you could flip a coin and do better than egg. New
I'm
segment.
gonna try it.
Flipping the coin. Can it beat egg? We're doing
Egg
it next
quarter.
week. Love it. Oh my God. It's going to be a photographic of egg and a coin.
I love you, egg.
This is so good. It's not great.
Oh, good stuff.
All right. Well, hey, guys, I think that's pretty much getting us done here for the pre-show. We have some more matters to get to, but I think right now, and some of you had words about this. One person said hashtag cringe for me throwing to myself. Other people were pretty impressed by it, but one person saying hashtag cringe, I say to you, Jiu-Jitsu Panda, you're jealous. And really, I get the final word here. So, obs gels. But right now, I'm going to throw it to myself over live at the studio for the rest of PGF Week 3 action. Right now. Is how I would end the show tomorrow. So you guys get to see it now. Tomorrow there's a remastered version that airs before and after all this sort of stuff. So you'll see it before. If you watched it yesterday, it's going to be a remastered version. So I actually will add new graphics and all that sort of stuff. So you don't just see the same show. Plus, we make it a little bit faster so that way Tim's not spending 20 minutes like guessing which person said what. Because every time, like Tim, the amount of anger I would have as a TV show producer on a game show with a contestant that's like, well, Sonny, I tell you, let me get my reading glasses. How many jelly beans are in this case? I don't know.
You got to understand there's 20 different personalities, and I'm trying to like scan them through my head and go.
I think I found it. Hold on. I will read this out loud. I'm guessing my daughter once worked in a jelly bean factory. I'm going to guess 29 jelly beans. Ma'am, there's 29,000 jelly beans in here. Stop wasting TV time. Having said that, Tim, before we go, is there anything for the live people watching now that you want to say? Because we can say whatever we want on here now.
Yeah, I want to say thanks for supporting us. You should be supporting us. We're out here hustling and grinding.
I'm so sorry.
Hank-
I want to keep up the "it's not great" for the rest of the show, and I hope you're okay as you do your stuff.
Yeah, let's bang it. Let's do it. Listen, it's not great. You want to know why it's great? Because we're not getting enough support from you people. No, listen. We're out here doing this. We got a pirate ship that we put out in the damn ocean, and we're sailing this thing, and we can use all the help that we can get. We're putting on cool stuff, especially if you're seeing the produced version of it that Raph puts out. It's a fantastic show. And tell your friends, tell the people that run these promotions you want to see us. That's what helps us the most. But don't be lazy about it. Don't be like, yeah, that's a good idea, and then not do anything about it. Like, fucking do it right now. Like, right now, pull your phone out of your pocket and do it. And that's, and outside of that, look me up on Inside BJJ. If you're out in Nashville, come see me at 10th Planet Nashville. If you're out in Stockton, go see my boys at 10th Planet Stockton. And listen, I hope you're watching this right now. Take that bet on Ardilla. That is a crazy good. That's a good line. Take it. Like, don't be dumb. Go get it. And outside of that, it's great to be here, Raph. Great show, man. My game show chops are not. Man, you're nailing me with these questions. I gotta come up with some better answers for you.
Listen,
thank
dude,
you so much, my friend.
You're welcome, and I appreciate you. It's just. My thought process is I can hear my brain editing as we're doing it. And at a certain point I go, well, how is this playing to our live audience? Because they're here right now. And I will tell you this, and thank you everybody for being so nice about this. We could do a pre-show that we could phone in, but we want it to be fun. We want it to be a different experience. The difficulty for us is we recognize we're not there in person. So when people are like, oh, it'd be cool if this did this, or the pre-show was like this, we're like, totally hear you. Also, you are aware we don't live in Vegas. And that although we give money to the athletes, we're not like flush with cash. And Tim has an academy and a gym. So this is our way of making it happen. As soon as I'm done here, I'm in a car driving to Vegas. So when the guys were like, what time are you getting in? I was like, I don't know. It depends on what time we're done with the pre-show. I get in, traffic. If I kill somebody, who knows? But I would tell you, we appreciate you guys for doing that. Thank you for playing along. When the pre-show goes on tomorrow, we would love it if you put some comments, tell people why you like watching this show. And if you're one of the athletes, I hope you're enjoying the show. I hear you're watching it because you tell me things about the show that are not clipped. So that always tells me you're paying attention. And just remember, we are rooting for you guys. So them's jokes. Don't be in your feels about it. Having said all that, Tim, I think I'll close this up right now. My thanks to you, sir. Great work this week. Appreciate you so much. And let's get... It's not great. It's so funny.
You did that.
It's still so good. It's staring at me right now. It's not great. I mean, is it a review of our show if you came in out of context? Who knows? Is it existential dread? It's not great. Who can say? But I can tell you one thing that is great. Our staff, our incredible crew who works over at the PGF to make these incredible shows. So do us a solid. Like, comment, and subscribe if you are watching this right now. Tell the people why you love it. Put it in the comment section when it goes up. Don't just put it in the live chat. Put it on the episode itself. Tell people why you loved it. And then tell us what your favorite clips are. Like, tell us what you enjoyed the most each week. But for right now, you can find me at The Grappling Hour at patreon.com/Grappling Hour. We have full-length interviews with Landon Elmore and Juan Martinez that are going to go up very, very soon. So make sure to keep eyes out for those. And then just to let you guys know, we have so many different things planned in the near future, but we have some very, very fun stuff planned for Subversive. We're going to do some interviews and some live products out that way. So be on the lookout for a media day for my my other project at Subversive. It's going to be very, very fun. All right, friends, that's going to do it for us here at the show. Thank you so much for watching today. We hope you enjoy the show tomorrow, even though this will air tomorrow. You know the difference. You're the smart fans because you're paying attention. But much love to you guys. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.